The Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get your free financial survival toolkit and find out where to buy gold and silver safely at great prices. Sign up at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
1490 WGCH. This is Kerry Lutz, and you're listening to the Financial Survival Network, which is brought to you by Miles Franklin. They've been in business selling gold since 1990, and I'm a customer because when you buy, they ship. To find out more, go to milesfranklin.com or call them at 800-822-8080 and get a free quote. Hi, it's Kerry Lutz, and it's time for another Triple Lutz Report. It's Friday, July 6th, 2012, and this is episode 199. Can you believe we've gone through so many? I can't. There's a concept that I've been toying with for quite a while, a debt jubilee. You've heard me talk about it before on other shows with other guests. Before I explain the concept to you, first, a disclaimer. Your beliefs aside, I am not a biblical scholar, religious scholar by any stretch. With that in mind, let's once again explore the Jubilee. It's defined as a special year of remission of sins and universal pardon. It's in the biblical Book of Leviticus, where a Jubilee year occurs every 50 years. Slaves and prisoners would be freed, debts would be forgiven, and, most importantly, the mercies of God would be particularly manifest. Now, in Christianity, the tradition dates back to 1300 when Pope Boniface VIII convoked a holy year, following which ordinary jubilees have generally been celebrated every 25 to 50 years, with extraordinary jubilees taking place or being held depending on the need. And boy, do we need an extraordinary jubilee now. One thing you have to understand is that a jubilee is a time for rejoicing, and an extraordinary jubilee is really a time to celebrate. Imagine that mortgage that you've struggled to pay through this depression is gone, or that student loan you took out to get that useful degree in women's studies from an elite Ivy League university, and now you can't get a job. Presto, doesn't exist anymore. That auto loan, paid in full. Or those credit card debts you ran up to buy all those flat screens and surround sound and useless items for the house? Written off to zero. Or what about the national debt? Gone. And all those nonviolent drug users and non-threatening nonviolent criminals costing you billions every year to incarcerate? Home free. I think you get the idea. This is all part of the global economic reset, which our country and our world so desperately need. So let's fast forward to modern times. We've got governments printing up money like it's going out of style, and I wish it would go out of style now. They're solving absolutely nothing except creating more debt that will become more unserviceable as time goes by. And the only solution to our problems, the world's problems, maybe not yours, maybe not mine in particular, is elimination, forgiveness of this debt, or a substantial portion of it. Now, before you say that this would be life imitating South Park, you know the one I'm talking about, where Stan gets a credit card with no limit, no spending limit, and he proceeds to pay off everyone else's credit cards, and immediately they go off spending again like there's no tomorrow. Well, think about this. In California, you've got the legislature approving eminent domain to force loan modifications on mortgage holders. At least here, I don't approve of this, but they're being honest for a change that a mortgage modification actually is a taking of private property. But who knows who really owns most of these mortgages, because they're mired in all this foreclosure gate, in all this bad record keeping, and in many cases, it's impossible to determine or legally prove who owns the mortgage. And as a result, these properties cannot be foreclosed upon and put back into the market. So the system as it stands now is completely corrupt and unsustainable. We've got extend and pretend, where the banks are holding these mortgages at the amount that is owed upon them, even if they're in default. They have no intention of marking to market or reality. And then we've got the central banks of the world doing what I call print and pray. They're continuing to spew out unlimited numbers of currency units, and they're praying that somehow by increasing debt geometrically, it's going to solve the debt problem. We all know that the too big to fails have to be liquidated. And under a Jubilee, where all their loans on their books would be pretty much worthless because they'd be forgiven, or at least substantial portions of them would be, somewhere between 70 to 90% could be forgiven, the too big to fails would effectively not have any assets left. Obviously, for corporate debt, other measures would have to be taken. You don't want corporations getting a free ride where all this money they've borrowed from the markets that they're holding in investments would be effectively theirs with no obligation to pay. So some means for people who've actually got the cash that they've borrowed needs to be created. New measures after the Jubilee would be taken to prevent consumer debt. We don't want people financing flat screen TVs, financing their electric bill, their food bills. We don't want credit cards used for any other purpose except convenience of not carrying cash. We want them paid off unless these are items that have lives that will last. Really, consumer debt should be gone. Same with student loan debt. Make the colleges charge what the education is really worth. And if people can afford it, they'll buy it. And if they can't, they won't. And if the colleges would like to finance it and take the risk of not getting paid and not rely upon the government for student loan debt, then let them do it. But they can't rely on government-backed loans any longer. And of course, sovereign debt, most of that is going to be gone as well around the world. It's going to be unfair to some countries, be fairer to others, but it needs to be gone. And that goes with derivatives as well. They would be outlawed under this plan, gone. No more derivatives, void for public policy purposes. And then you're going to have to liquidate the banks because, like I say, their assets will be gone, and we're kind of starting over here again. Also, you're going to have a massively deflated money supply, which means that the value of your currency, if you have any, is going to go up dramatically. In addition, because there'll be such a deflation, it will be possible to revalue gold without it going to the tens of thousands and make all currencies based on this and have laws against sovereign debt. Government should not be borrowing under any but the most limited extreme circumstances. They should not be borrowing to pay for current operations. Perhaps there's an argument to be made for goods that have long lives, like bridges, like tunnels. Perhaps bonds could be issued, and that could be freed up. But then again, should the government be involved in building those assets? I'm not so sure. You look at the corruption involved, you look at their shoddy workmanship, the defects, and the way over budget and way over time limits that take place, probably get them out of that business too. There's a lot of hard questions that need to be answered here. I think Jim Rickards is the one to at least raise the discussion with. I think he's got a good concept both historically and as far as where the world's at now. He's got a front row seat to the global collapse. So thanks for listening. Be sure to go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Listen to this, hundreds of other shows, all there for free. And while you're there, sign up for the free weekly newsletter. You'll also get the Financial Survival Toolkit and our book. It's going to be completed in just a few weeks. Now, we're not sure what to name it yet, and perhaps you have a good idea what an appropriate title would be. So I'm thinking about running a contest. I've got a few choices, but you can propose your own. Some of them, unfortunately, aren't appropriate for a family show like this one, but together, hopefully we'll have some fun. We'll come up with a title, and then it'll be off to the races. It's Kerry Lutz. Been another Triple Lutz Report. Signing off.